I'm not saying we don't have a shot at the wild card.
Yeah.
I realistically think we do. That's how jumbled up this middle of the AL is. But when you look at it, is it fair to say that Major League Baseball is very similar right now to the NBA as how top-heavy it is? I mean, you have two teams. NL's got two teams, so call it three teams that are running away with everything, and then the rest of the league on each side is both just sitting there kind of going, well, we're the little brother hanging out with Spike, and whatever he does, we want to do too. But we're not finishing anything. We're not starting anything. This is a team. The Rangers are a team that is good, but you have no confidence right now. You know you have no confidence in any part of your bullpen. We brought Tanner Shepard back. Did you even realize he was still in the system, Vince?
On the same day that you did.
Right. I mean, and of course he comes in. Now, Gritty, the way he comes in and battles through 2 innings of loading the bases and fighting through it. But, I mean, that's the problem is these pitchers put themselves in situations instead of I don't want them to have to get out of a situation. I want them to have never been in it in the first place. I'm not expecting every time out for them to be dominant. What I'm expecting is you to go out there and not give it up like an ugly prom date. I mean, it's so bad with our pitching from top to bottom.
Is it really so bad? Let's dig into the numbers a bit on that, okay?
Okay.
I think all three of us can agree the bullpen's the problem.
Yes.
We all can agree there. Samir, you with me?
Agreed, but I would even say the starting pitching is a concern.
Now, let me give you some numbers then. When we score three or more runs, I just saw this, we are 25-12.
Right.
Of those 12 losses, 9 were due to blown saves.
Right.
So if we get 3 or 4 runs on the board, our starting pitching over the course of the season hasn't been that bad. If we've got enough quality starts in the second half of the season, I think that we can definitely make some hay. Because I think we've got the hitters. I think they're going to come around. I've been telling you the hitters are going to come around. And the pitching, what we've seen in the first half, do you believe it's going to get better or worse with the return of Cole Hamels, Tanner Shepard, as you mentioned, Tyson Ross, Leclerc? Is the pitching going to get better or worse? I think addition by subtraction is getting rid of Dyson.
Yes, but look at Bush's last 5 appearances.
I looked at his last 5 appearances. I'm glad you brought it up. And I know that was going to be brought up today because he hasn't looked strong from a lot of standpoints. But the guy hit 98 on the gun the other day.
No doubt. And I want him to hit 98 all the time. The problem is he gets cute. He starts throwing these curves and tries to throw this slider, and they hang at the. When you look at the strikeout box or the strike zone box on TV, it's always at the middle. I mean, these are coming in at 88, 89. That is lunch meat for every major league hitter.
What's his ERA right now?
Don't know.
I bet you it's.
I can pull it up.
Got it?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
I'll bet you that it's under 3.
Oh, I'm going to bet no.
I'll bet you it's under 3. And if he's not under 3, he's not far from being under 3. Bush lately has been a little shaky. I think he has 3 blown saves on the season, but by and large, the arm is still live and popping.
See if one of you guys can pull it up on their phones here. The Wi-Fi's a little loose. Now, to that point, though, Vince, about the starting pitching. So, you're right. It's down to 2 starters usually going into the playoffs. But, I mean, let's take a look at Cole Hamels. He's coming back right around pretty much July. 33 years old. Arm is 36, 37. It's going to take him a while to find his wings. I know he had a great rehab start. But, I mean, realistically, how good is he? How much does he have left in the tank? And Darvish, Jimmy and I were talking about this earlier. He looked terrible in his last start. He looked off.
Dog days, though. These are the dog
Don't
days.
doubt it. You talk about getting better through the end. Cole Hamels, second half of the season last year, awful. The playoffs, incredibly awful. Now he's coming back into the time of year where he's shown that he can't pitch. The heat of Texas kills him. And so because of that, I really, really think that you're going to see him come in and be better than what we have. Do I think Cole Hamels is better than Bibbins Dirks? Yes. Do I think he's better than Nick Martinez? Yes.
Well, let's hope.
But you're still going to keep Martin Perez in there with his opponent's batting average of .310. I mean, we really, really struggle to get quality outs. We get these. We started the season getting quality start after quality start. The problem is we don't have pitchers that can go past the sixth. And if your bullpen is the problem, if I can't get my starters past the sixth, I'm throwing a third of the game into the hands of Lord knows what.
Well, to that end, though, I will say Bush, solid closer in my opinion, still.
288, by the way. 288 is
288.
Yeah, sorry.
That means who's right again?
Oh,
Ring the
here
bell,
we go.
somebody.
Here
This is
we
starting to
go.
be so consistent, it's not even funny. Okay, so 288, Bush is under 3, solid closer. Those are pretty good numbers, right?
Agreed.
So now we're looking at 7th and 8th inning. 7th, 8th inning, you give me Tanner Shepard, you give me Leclerc, and then in the playoffs, if I can push people like Nick Martinez, Martin Perez into the bullpen, you don't think we have any kind of shot in the playoffs with that lineup? And take out the blown saves, we're right there with Houston.
Oh,
Agreed,
I
but-
completely agree. But he's probably about to say the same thing I'm going to say. Last year, take out playing Houston all season, and we don't make the playoffs. You can always find that one thing. That's how slim the margins are in baseball. I love the sport because of that. I personally, I hate to say it, I do not see it improving from the pitching staff.
So you think we're going to continue to blow saves throughout the year?
I do.
We're
I
at
think
13 blown saves so far. Last year we had 17 blown saves. I believe that's got to start trending down. And I think with the addition of some of the guys I just mentioned, we're going to see that trend down.
I think we all agree the playoffs are a realistic possibility, especially that second wild card. But the concern is, look, I'm with Jimmy on this one. The saves, the blown saves, it's just going to continue. I realistically don't see the starting pitching getting any better. And in the AL, you need pitching. When you're going up against those heavy hitters, that's what gets you through the playoffs, and that's what's definitely going to get you past the Astros.
How is the starting pitching not getting any better if we're getting Cole Hamels and we're getting Tyson Ross?
I'm not convinced that Cole Hamels is going to get that much better coming back from rehab in July. I understand dog days of summer. Don't get me wrong, but can't deny he's not the Cole Hamels of yesteryear. He is old.
I think sub-4 ERA is guaranteed, right? You guys with me there?
second half of last year he was over 5.
Sub-4 ERA. But you know what about older pitchers? We should learn this from Roger Clemens back in the day. When they miss the amount of time that he's missed, usually that gives them a little bit extra as the season starts to wind down.
I was actually going to mention that. So
I think that's actually a good thing for Cole Hamels. I don't see it as that much of a negative.
But
I think some of the pitching stats have been skewed because of the Royd era, because I think a lot of pitchers that were
Agreed.
older and successful probably were juicing a bit.
Yeah.
And so I think now we're going back to the point where usually by 35, 36 it's over.
But for getting quality start, let's say Cole Hamels does come back, great quality starts during the regular season. Realistically, in the playoffs, when you're pitching 7, 8, possibly a full game, do you think he's got the arm to do that?
Well, then we're going back to the bullpen.
Okay.
And do I believe that we're going to get some help in the bullpen? I'm surely crossing my fingers and hoping so.
Yeah.
Because if we can, we all identify that's the primary weakness. If we can get some help in the bullpen, I think that we'll be okay. Now, I'm not saying we're going to win the World Series. I'm actually saying we're going to win the World Series. I'm not saying we're going to win the World Series, but at the same time, I'm expecting it to be competitive. I don't expect us to go down like we have against Toronto in the past. I don't see that happening. I think it's going to happen. I think we're going to lock up the wild card spot. And I think John Daniels believes the same thing. And I think he kind of is letting us know that when he says, don't expect much around the trade deadline.
Right.
I don't think that's much going out.
Yeah.
I think he's still looking to bring something in. So I do believe that he still is looking at it saying, we've got a shot here. And if JD believes it, in JD I trust.
he has proven himself. I truly believe that because John Daniels has. Have you ever listened to a more even keel man than John Daniels? To me, he seems like the kind of guy you could punch in the jaw and he'd be like, "Well, that was an effective shot, and I think we're just going to keep plowing through and figure out what we can do about it next time."
That's right. Your left foot, you didn't get a lot.
Yeah.
You didn't get a lot of torque on that.
Yeah.
He was on the radio today talking about how he even knows that the bullpen is just completely ineffective.
Yeah.
He, of course, was a lot more diplomatic in the way he says it, but we all know what he's saying when he says the bullpen is not providing what we expected them to provide. What you're saying is this bullpen is terrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We have 4 or 5 pretty good hitters right now, But, man, that leaves you 4 or 5 that are not. And I fear that. I do, because I'm not seeing Odor improve. I'm not seeing Napoli improve. I'm not seeing Lucroy. Lucroy's got, I think he's fighting for a job now because Chirinos has proven himself very effective. We talked about this before. Is he an everyday starter? I don't know that yet, but you don't know until you make him an everyday starter.
I think Lucroy might be the trade bait we're talking about.
I think that's the thing that you're looking at, because any other thing that you do, you're going to have to bundle prospect with, and we don't have any.
Right.
We just don't have any, because Profar is no longer that. Remember the old school days of DVD, Danks, Diamond, and Volquez. You know, it used to be they were untouchable, and if we were going to trade them, we were going to get a long haul for it. That's not. You just don't see that in our farm system anymore.
2.37 ERA for Lucroy.
Wait.
Oh,
ERA?
I'm sorry. Yeah,
Once again, we've got Samir Patel. Lucroy has a 2.37 ERA.
Apparently in cricket, that's good. I don't know.
Okay. So overall, Rangers have a shot at the wild card. Rangers have a shot at the wild card. Rangers have a shot at the wild card. Rangers going to make hay in the playoffs. Rangers not going to make hay in the playoffs. Rangers not going to make hay in the playoffs.
Actually, I will say that they got a shot because everybody's chasing the Astros, but they've got a lot of injuries on that starting pitching staff. So if that goes out, who knows? Now, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself talking about the Astros. I mean, let's get to the Astros first, right? But great thing about the AL, and I think just great thing about baseball, this is not a situation where NBA playoffs 1 versus 8 seed, you know who's going down.
Right.
So this is the ultimate sport of parity when it comes to the playoffs. So
it's a good point. So again, if they get in, my biggest fear in all of this is
fear from the master of gloom.
Yes, the biggest fear I have is when you are in a position like the Rangers are, you have to maintain. If we do that and we get nowhere, then we've lost anything for Darvish. We've lost anything for Lucroy because he's not going to re-sign here.
No.
You've got great trade bait right there that you need to get something for.
You're not suggesting we be sellers right now, are you, Jimmy?
I'm not suggesting.
Then what are you doing?
I'm blatantly stating.
What?
Yes.
Are you
even
serious?
while we are in the playoff hunt.
I honestly think with what Darvish has given over the past month, you can trade him away, and I don't think we're any worse off because we give him no run support. If he's going to be a number 1 starter in this league, hear me out. If he's going to be a number 1 starter in this league, I have to have you be able to go out there and win a 2-0 game. I have to have that. But what does Darvish do every game? 2 home runs. 2 home runs are given up every game. When you look at the past 3 weeks, we have been down 4-0 multiple times in the first inning.
Now,
we don't have the bats. We've not proven that we can consistently come back from that kind of thing. And when we do, we still give it up with the bullpen.
Okay, so what we've just found out that as a child, Jimmy's mom would serve him ice cream. He would not eat it for fear that she may poison him. Because he is the epitome of it's going bad.
You know my mom.
It's going bad. This can't be good. She's being too nice to me here. Something's wrong with this.
She took out a life insurance policy on me when I was a kid.
I have no idea how you could say that we're sellers. Come on, Samir, back me up on this.
Well, okay, so let me just clarify. When you say sell, are you saying bring back some other players and try to fill a hole? Because usually when you sell in the MLB, you're selling for prospects or you're selling for cash, right? You very rarely see those trades where you're bringing back like another quality player in the same pedigree.
Right, no doubt.
Right.
The best example I can give you, one of the best moves John Daniels ever did, Smoke for Cliff Lee.
Oh, great move.
Yeah.
2010.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look at Smoke right now. Smoke's got 20 home runs. He's batting .280 for Toronto. Moved around a couple times, but the guy is finally settling in and finding his bat. I'm not saying that I want to sacrifice the next 3 years to find that. What I'm saying is I don't see us having the farm system to refill anyway. Who are you bringing up next year to replace Yu Darvish? Yu Darvish is not, even though JD says it is a priority, maybe priority 1 to re-sign Darvish, at some point somebody's going to money whip him to death, and it's going to be Seattle, L.A., Chicago, or New York, or possibly Boston. All perennial contenders.
I'm too caught in the present right now, Jimmy.
Buddy, I want to be.
I'm too caught.
That's the hardest part of all of this is I want to be. Man, I love the Rangers. I watch every flipping game. I watched the 6 runs that Tyson Ross gave up in the first inning today. And because the law is in this land, I'm not allowed to throw a beer bottle at the TV at a bar.
The concern that I have about being sellers when you are playoff contenders, and again, I'm bringing up an NBA comparison here. If you're a perennial in the NBA, if you're a perennial 4, 5, 6 seed, right? I call it the Atlanta Hawks syndrome. Eventually, you just got to blow it up. You're fighting an uphill battle. You're not going to get past the 1 to 2 seed. You're not going to go to the ship. Baseball, totally different story. Yes, you got your 2 or 3. Usually, it's a couple more than that contenders that are going to go deep in the playoffs. But we've seen it time and time again, year after year. How many times have we seen the wild card go all the way, right? Or make a deep run?
There is always hope, and I know Jimmy doesn't understand that concept, so I'm not going to hold it against you, okay?
It's fine. You don't live my life.
But what I will say is this, though. One of the main differences, I think you were kind of alluding to it a little bit, Samir, is that I think that in baseball, if you become sellers too early, you can lose the team. And you cannot, they will start losing faith in management. And it'll become harder to re-sign players because they're afraid that you may abandon their season.
Okay.
So I think it's way too early to talk about being a seller right now.
Okay. What the hardest part of any general manager's job is effectively separating the humanity from the business side, right?
I agree.
We all saw in Moneyball, how do you cut a player? You don't walk in and tell them how great things have been and we've loved what you've done for us here. You walk in and say, you've been traded, such and such will help you arrange everything. And that's it. Because there has to be a severing and a cauterization of that feeling. You have to fix that. Now, I don't disagree with you. Because the moment they start selling, you're right. The team goes, I got to find a job.
Yeah.
Because if you sell one, everybody has it in their mind, even though they know, just like in every sport. If anybody's got to be nervous about anything, it's Jeff Bannister. He's with this bullpen issue, and we all know Doug Brocail's not going to have a job as a pitching coach next year.
He shouldn't have a pitching coach in college, high school, or the league.
It's been. You know what? I need Mike Maddox back. I need this. I need the shoulder rub and let you know everything's going to be okay. I got you. But it's just, you have to figure out, how do I maintain a business presence with human emotion? It's the hardest thing ever. We've all worked in jobs where we know that layoffs happen. And when they happen, the company doesn't come to you and go, is everything okay? We really appreciate what you've done. What they do is they say, here's your severance package, if any. Next Thursday's your last day.
Well, I definitely understand the metaphors, Jimmy, but at the same time, it's still early.
Yeah.
It's still, we're in latter part of June.
I know.
Bro, it isn't time. I think we're hitting the panic button way too soon.
That's what I do.
That's what you do. I think we can finish right there on that particular topic. So let's go ahead and move into the next one. Since we're going to talk baseball, like I said, we've got lists that we wanted to talk about. The list that we have, that I asked these two gentlemen, these two fine, uneducated gentlemen, to bring with them today is their personal list of the top 5 Rangers. And I want you guys to count them backwards for me. And then what we're going to do, we're going to start with Samir so that Jimmy and I can throw stones at you.
Here we go.
So if you would, top 5 Rangers of all time, as told by Samir Patel. Give me what you got.
So let me just go ahead and start with my number 1.
No, he said start at number 5.
Number 5?
This is very difficult for Samir. It's called following instructions. Please don't hold him up for it.
He ain't into your fancy book learning.
He's not into the fancy book learning.
So number 5, I'm going to go with Josh Hamilton.
I could see that.
Love what he did. Of course, we all know the struggles and we all know the challenges, but what he did for those couple of years, was there a better player in baseball, I would argue, during that stretch? I don't think so.
Outside of Pujols, maybe. But that's the only one that I can think of.
Number 4, I'm going to go with Rafael Palmeiro. Just what he accomplished, I know the steroid area. I mean, yes, he clearly juiced, but I think 1,029 ribbies over the course of 10 seasons. I mean, when he stepped up to the plate, he was a monster.
The only problem I have with you so far is I like both players, but that means that you left somebody off of my top 5 list, which means your list no longer counts.
Okay.
Let's go.
Now, this is where I know I'm going to get some heat. Number 3, I'm going to go A-Rod. And
would you escort him out?
and here's let me
3 seasons.
Yes, but and here's why. So
salary cap hit A-Rod.
My
156 home runs in 3 years.
Here's where I had the heart attack.
And where did they take us? Where did leadership take us?
It was between him and Juan Gonzalez, and Juan Gonzalez was a machine for the franchise, absolute machine. But you cannot take away what A-Rod did. I mean,
he did it during the regular season. Never led us to the playoffs. He was only here for 3 seasons. Yeah, they were good seasons, MVP caliber seasons, but they were still just 3 seasons. And we paid him $25 million for those seasons. And come on, man.
What did we put around him, though?
Well, we couldn't. Because we were paying him $252 million. What are you talking about?
Look, I blame that more on management, right? If you're going to bring in that kind of player, you know you got to pay him.
Okay. Let's get to these other two.
Let me get the other two. Okay.
That means...
All right, so number 2.
Stressing here now.
Number 2, I'm going to go Nolan Ryan. And number 1, I'm going to go Pudge.
I have no problem with your numbers 1 and 2. I have those flipped, so I have no problem there. But let's talk about this, Jimmy. Jimmy, I know you've got some rocks you want to throw at him right now, right?
Yeah. So first off, we before the show we were talking about. You saw that I had A-Rod. I put down here as a point of discussion because you cannot deny winning an MVP,
right?
156 home runs. 427 RBI, I believe, in the 3 seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy was a machine. Gold Glove winner all 3 years here. Everything he could do, he did. Now, a lot of those home runs...
He could have led us to the playoffs.
How?
Yeah. Again, who did he have to work with?
Okay, let's talk about this. Because I'll give you he was rated number 3 on your list?
Yes.
I will tell you Josh Hamilton was a better Ranger than Alex Rodriguez.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
I will tell you that. Because Josh Hamilton, 2 World Series appearances. And forgive me if I'm wrong, if it wasn't for a misplay in the outfield, he hit a 2-run homer that should have won us a World Series.
Yes.
Throw in the fact 5-time All-Star, also won an MVP while he was here, also was an RBI leader for the American League, also was a batting champ. Give me his 5 seasons over A-Rod's 3 seasons any day of the week.
I have no problem with that argument. The only thing that I can't take... Yes, he took us to the World Series. But the reason why I didn't factor that into this discussion is because when you bat, it's only you that's batting. It's not your teammates that are batting. And the numbers that A-Rod put up for those 3, probably the best 3-year stretch...
So you don't believe Derek Jeter is a Hall of Famer then? Is that what you're telling me?
No. Derek Jeter is a Hall of Famer.
Well, there's something to be said for leadership.
Yes.
And I think leadership is something that we get out of certain players and we don't get out of other players.
But Vince,
I think some people, you can add them to the team and it actually takes away from the team. And I think A-Rod, one of those selfish players, does that. I think the guy that I got number 5, Michael Young, did the exact opposite.
There's no doubt that there's a case for leadership. But the reason why Derek Jeter is going to the Hall of Fame is because he was the leader of that franchise for decades. We're talking about a 3-year stretch here.
And he led us into a wall.
He did. He led us into... He didn't... Well, let's be honest. He didn't lead us anywhere, right? But his production... He did everything that he could at his position. He did everything he could at the plate. You couldn't ask... I don't understand... I don't see what more you could have asked him to do, just on an individual basis.
So, A-Rod is not in my top 5, but it is a discussion point.
Okay.
Let's be very clear.
Well, I'll let you correct Samir. Please do. Please correct him.
Number 5, I really struggle because I have 3 there that I...
What is this, top 8?
Well, no.
You just change the rules?
No.
And if I could have given you 8, I'm sure you got your list right.
I put Josh as my number 5. Okay? And it was between him, Fergie Jenkins, and Michael Young.
Fergie Jenkins, pitcher?
Ferguson Jenkins.
For back in the okay, I could almost see that because in the 70s he was a dominant pitcher.
25 wins. I mean, in one season.
25 wins, and if I'm not mistaken, also, I think he had a 3-year run that was pretty phenomenal.
Amazing.
Very good. Yeah.
Amazing.
Very good.
Yeah, over 60 wins in 3 years. So,
Yeah.
But I put Josh because of being the best player in baseball for probably a 3-year span. I do say that he was a little bit better than Pujols.
He was unstoppable.
Yes, because fielding as well. That big body was doing things that a Ken Griffey Jr. or a Kenny Lofton used to do in the outfield.
He was good. He was good. I mean, I don't argue with you. Okay. Number 5, I won't count Fergie. I'm going to take your number 5 as Josh Hamilton. Why? Because I'm the one that asked the question.
Okay. Number 4, I have Nolan.
Okay.
Wow.
Nolan Ryan at 4? Mm-hmm. Why do you rank him so low?
Nolan had, 3 milestones with the Rangers?
I believe so. 300, 5,000, and 2 no-hitters. Right?
2 no-hitters, exactly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Nolan led us nowhere. It's the same.
I would contest that. Because before Nolan came, he didn't lead us to the playoffs, but he led us on television. Because before Nolan,
I agree.
I mean, this was.
I agree.
You had reason for doom and gloom when it came to Rangers baseball.
Right.
Nolan came in, he invigorated the city, and that is when I first started watching baseball, and it was because I wasn't going to miss a Nolan Ryan start.
Understood.
So he brought something to the table. May not have been translating into playoff wins, but it was definitely translating into excitement during that era.
So, I love Nolan Ryan.
I'm not sure at this point, Jimmy.
Okay, well,
Treating him like a
okay.
step
Then I'm going to give you my number 3. Then
Okay, let's go.
I put Juan Gonzalez at number 3.
No problem with that.
Juan Gonzalez. You know what? Why I don't have any problem with the steroid era? Because everybody had access to it.
Mm-hmm. Right, I'm with you there.
It's one thing if it was 5 guys that were doing it. Now we all know Brady Anderson in Baltimore. You cannot have a better example of being juiced.
Yeah, 50 home runs.
50 home runs in a season after, 12 was career best before that?
What about the Luis Gonzalez in Arizona?
Oh, yeah, again.
57?
Yes, all these guys had access to it. And in the video game era, I want them doing it. I want 12 home runs a game. That's what I want. But Juan Gonzalez, again, took us to the playoffs. Twice.
No, was it 3 times? Was it 3?
No, I don't know if Juan was here.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
We'll go 2 or 3. Point made, though.
Yeah.
But won MVP. Won 2 MVPs.
2 MVPs.
Yeah, won 2 MVPs. The guy could have hit. You could not pitch around him. It was so fun to watch him hit because even if you wanted to throw low and away, he was like Vlad Guerrero like that. Mm-hmm. I'm just going to go get the ball. And it launched out. So, again, for me, he brought about the home run era for me.
Yes, I'm with you.
It was so much fun to watch. So I think he piggybacked to the offensive side of what Nolan did on the pitching side. He made it fun to watch. Number 2, Adrian Beltre.
Whoa.
Now we have to find out who's being left off your list here. Number 2 is Adrian Beltre.
Yes.
Okay.
Adrian Beltre is arguably the second best third baseman of all time.
The second?
Behind Brooks Robinson.
Ooh, so we're well, yeah, he's over Will Clark.
Will Clark played first.
I'm sorry, Wade Boggs. He's over Wade Boggs.
Mike Schmidt, I think he's over because of a defensive standpoint. Mm-hmm. A-Rod, I think he's over A-Rod.
I don't know
I don't agree with.
Career-wise, I don't think you can put him over
Look,
A-Rod.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Adrian Beltre, probably one of the greatest defensive third basemen.
There's no better defensive third baseman.
But when A-Rod was playing short, he was one of the top 2 or 3.
I don't disagree. Yeah. But I'm saying, when you look at the fact, if you want to know what a vacuum is that's not named Dyson, it's in the fact that he does it 2-foot planted every time. I mean, the guy is amazing at third base.
Let me ask you this then. Okay, so you've got Josh rated 5th. You've got Beltre rated 2nd.
Yes.
When they played together, didn't you view Josh as better than Beltre?
Sure.
So you give it to him based on the longevity.
Longevity of the career, and I think he's every bit as much up there with getting fans to want to watch the game. Look at what he's done just since he's come back from injury this year. He's playing incredibly well at 38 years old. He's got every other player on that team going, we can do this. So when I talk about doom and gloom, the hardest part about this is the fact that Beltre's back, and I think he will help us get to the playoffs. I do. But I just look at the fact that who is more enjoyable to watch, even in the dugout? Beltre's a Beltre is a guy that you just want to watch play baseball. And there's something to be said for that, because if he gets butts in seats, not for money, I don't care. Ray Davis and the other guy that own the Rangers, they got billions of dollars from oil. I don't care about their money. What I care about is the fact that Adrian Beltre gets other people talking about baseball. And to me, that makes me have a more enjoyable experience as a fan of the Texas Rangers. Beltre is fun to watch. The hits that he'll go get, the swinging from one knee, that is awesome to watch.
It's like watching a golfer.
Yes. The fact that stuff plays at third base that you just don't think are going to happen, especially since he doesn't like to throw on the run, that he can still plant and hum it in there at 38 years old. Man, that is fun to watch. I don't look at Beltre as an old player.
No, he's not. Even though he is old, he's not.
He's age old, but he is not baseball old.
Right.
He hasn't lost the hand speed. He still tries to steal bases. I mean, it's, by the way, just so you know.
And he's clutch.
Yeah, just on a complete sidebar, Joey Gallo hit an inside the park home run tonight. So,
I'm going to have to see that.
Yeah, look out the windows, because you'll see Wilbur and all other forms of pigs flying right by the window. Anyway, with that being said, I put Pudge at number 1.
I think Pudge at number 1. Would you have it number 1?
I had Pudge.
Okay,
Yeah.
So that's definitely seeable. I can see that. And listening to you guys' list, everybody makes good arguments, but I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the top 5, and this is a definitive list.
This is the answer sheet?
This is the answer sheet. You guys didn't have it, so
I didn't know this was Scantron, and there was an answer key.
So we'll give you a C- because you had Palmeiro and A-Rod. We'll give you a B- because your list wasn't perfect. And we'll give me an A. And let me give you what an A-plus list sounds like.
Just real quick before you do that, but why the hate on Palmeiro?
Palmeiro, strictly because the other guys on my list are better.
Pretty swing, though.
One of the prettiest things you'll ever see.
Him and Griffey.
It was effortless. It was effortless.
Him, Griffey, and Will Clark.
If we took whole careers, Palmeiro will go over my number 5. But if we just looked at their time with the Rangers, you got to give me this guy.
Okay.
Okay, and I had Josh Hamilton 6th. I really weighed this out because Josh he was phenomenal. One of the best 5-year stretches you'll see in baseball history. And I thought Josh was absolutely dominant at the plate. And he almost got the Barry Bonds treatment for a little while there.
Yeah.
So when you look at it, you got to go, man.
There's respect from the other league, the rest of the league, exactly.
Better believe it. Number 5 on my list, Michael Young. Michael Young's a 7-time All-Star. He also had a batting championship 2005, Gold Glove winner, and he's the club career hits leader.
Yes.
Okay, Michael Young at number 5. From a number standpoint, he holds so many club records, it's ridiculous.
You know, as I said, it was between him and Josh for my number 5.
We saw the same.
The fact that Michael Young, when you look at his 10 seasons in Texas, those same 10 seasons, if Ichiro Suzuki does not play baseball here, that guy leads the league in hits, I believe, 9 times.
Yes.
Agreed.
Yes, Michael Young was phenomenal.
I mean, the guy just, when you think of the term hitter,
let's just say far better Ranger than A-Rod. We'll just leave it there. Okay, number 4, I have Adrian Beltre. But I will tell you this. Beltre still has the potential to move up the list.
yes, he does.
Yeah.
I have Beltre at number 4. Here he's had 3 All-Star appearances, 3 Gold Gloves, 2 World Series appearances. Beltre is a phenomenal player. All the things that you said are absolutely true. I don't knock you for having him at number 2. I have him at 4, but I believe if he can push us to a playoff run this year, he may start to pass a couple of guys that got in front of him.
Sure.
Number 3, Wando.
Oh,
Gonzo, when he got hot, the only player I've ever seen better than him was Barry Bonds.
yeah.
When that guy was locked in, and he'd go for like 15-game stretches where it was just utterly ridiculous. And I mean, RBI after RBI. I think there was at one point he had a season where he was on the verge of breaking the RBI record.
Yeah, he had 104 RBIs by the All-Star break.
It was
when
insane.
he was locked in.
Hank Greenberg was looking at over his shoulder. Yeah.
What's going on here? Yeah. When Wando was locked in, I mean, there's nothing that you could do with the guy. You could not get him out. There were no strikeouts in his box score.
Right.
Yeah.
So phenomenal hitter. I give him that. Of course, he also 2 MVPs, 372 home runs, which actually leads the club, and 1,180 RBIs, which also leads the club.
Right.
Second on my list is Pudge. We've all agreed Pudge belongs in the top 2.
Greatest catcher of all time?
Yeah.
It's him and Johnny Bench, right?
Yeah.
And maybe Carlton Fisk?
I would probably give it to Pudge. That might be a little homerism coming from me. If you had somebody from New York, they're going to tell you it's Yogi Berra.
Yogi Berra, right. No, but from a talent standpoint, the guy was like Sandy Alomar from the knees.
Yes.
At the plate, he was Johnny
Sandy.
Bench, and
He
on
was
the
better
base
than
pad.
Sandy.
Yeah, and even when he lost his hitting prowess, it's the brain that kept him in the leagues. I mean, I remember him playing for the Astros when he was, 2011?
Yeah.
Or, he lasted forever.
Well, that was one knock on him, though, because he gained that after he left Texas. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But here, he wasn't that great working with the pitchers. I mean, but you loved him behind the plate and what he could do.
Couldn't run on him. You could not run on him.
Couldn't run on him.
No.
And then number 1, for all the reasons I gave you earlier, Nolan Ryan. And Nolan Ryan, we're talking about top 5 Rangers of all time. Yeah, he did all this from a pitching standpoint, but I gave him a couple of extra bonus points for what he did when he was actually president of the franchise as well.
Yeah.
Sure.
And when you take all of that and put it together, I think you got the number 1 Texas Ranger of all time.
Now, one name that I want to point out that he's not a player, but one name that I think that should get credit just because of what he did for the franchise, Ron Washington. I mean,
I take credit away from Ron Washington.
Really?
For not making that defensive substitution
Okay.
in the World Series and leaving, who was it?
Nelly Cruz.
You're leaving Nelly Cruz out there in the outfield. And I know you want to ride your guys.
But you had Indy Chavez waiting to go.
Yeah. It should have been a move that made. He cost us the World Series. But I think it was a phenomenal
He got
move.
us there.
He got us there.
He got us there.
But
Look, if Nelly makes that catch, one, he's still here.
if Nelly makes that catch, he and Nelly are still here. And because we let Nelly go a little too soon. I think a lot of it had to do with him.
That's what I'm saying. So if he makes that catch, he's still here. And how does this list look differently?
And Neftali is still here. And he may have the closer role locked down.
Right.
He may be the best in the league at this point.
Right.
But if was a fifth, you and I would be drunk.
Drunk.
Samir, he'd probably be passed out right about that. But by and large, it's not what happened.
Right.
It's not what happened.
No, and we've talked about this, Vince. For me, my saddest sports moment of all time is Game 6, 2011.
And it was followed by probably your happiest moment the minute that Josh hit that home run, 2-run home run.
Oh, yeah.
the game before.
But-
I mean, I was up on the couch. I was yelling and screaming at the television, and I thought that it was a done deal.
Well, and it was coming on the piggyback of my Mavs having just won.
That's right,
Yeah.
2011.
And you're sitting there going, we are about to be back on the map, and not because of the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, you're going to look at holding both the NBA and the MLB title at the same time.
We would have been the center of the sports universe.
Oh, my gosh, instead of Boston.
Well, what we found out is Samir knows nothing about baseball. Jimmy knows enough to be dangerous. And as always, I'm right again with my top 5. All right.
It just hurts my heart, folks. It does, because you guys don't have to see, sit, or smell him. It's unreal.
No, I'm sorry. That's Samir. He's not wearing shoes.
I'm going to go ahead and play the race card on that one.
And I got to step out of the room. Source
Okay.
awards up in here.
Let's switch gears a bit. Let's switch gears a bit. Because we got a lot to talk about this evening. Let's go U.S. Open. Jimmy, we both made picks. We both were very, very wrong.
We could not have been more wrong.
I mean, it was horrible. It was horrible, and it was horrible. But you had a good U.S. Open. You're my golf guy.
Yeah.
Tell me what you saw out there.
Well, I think it further proves the U.S. Open is the great equalizer in golf.
Well, the course wasn't.
No, but no. The way they set it up. No, and this is what I'm saying. Because even the greatest, from time to time, have troubles hitting to a spot. As much as you would sit there and put ball on tee after tee after tee for Rory, Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, Your pick, John Rahm. These guys in practice can hit to the same spot within a 10-yard area over and over again. You get the pressure, and some people deal with it better than others in the moment. I'm not saying Brooks Koepka is a better golfer than Rory McIlroy, but Brooks Koepka kept it together for 4 straight rounds and pushed through a very, very dominating Ricky Fowler.
What a round, by the way.
Yes.
What a round.
What people don't notice is also that 4th round, Jordan Spieth played phenomenally. Phenomenally. And Koepka kept it together and made putt after putt after putt in that on the back 9 of Sunday. There is no harder place to putt than the back 9 of a Sunday U.S. Open. And so you get to see a lot of names that you will never hear again. You really will. Fleetwood. Nobody knew who Tommy Fleetwood, the Irish. He's from overseas somewhere.
I'm going to pull up the leaderboard right now.
But Ricky plowed back. But again, Ricky kind of tapered off after round 3.
Do you feel like Ricky choked? Well, he choked round 2, right?
Yeah, round 2. Yeah,
round 2.
Do you call it a choke at the U.S. Open, though? I don't know that you do. Because it is... Here's the thing. One hole at the U.S. Open can destroy 4 rounds if you make it to Saturday and Sunday. But one hole. How many times did you see triple and quadruple bogey on dominant golfer scorecards?
Yeah.
It was over and over again. So the guys that played smartly, that didn't have to play catch up, and now Ricky, huge advantage. Some of these guys got to play Thursday morning. Course was soft. There was 0 wind. They could also hit 3 wood off the tee instead of having to smack driver. But the U.S. Open, you watched it? It was a beautiful course, even though there's only one tree on the entire course. And for those of you who don't know, the new course here in Dallas that's going to host the Byron Nelson is exactly the same. It has 1 tree on the entire course. So they say it's being set up because they feel that there might be a U.S. Open or a PGA Championship coming back to Dallas.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Your biggest problem, obviously, is it ain't real cool in June in Dallas. But, we'll see what happens. But watching this, it's nice when you have the leaderboard of 5 or 6 names that you're going, man, anybody can win this. But it's also cool to see a guy that, Brooks Koepka works out with Dustin Johnson. They're basically best friends. You now see what a guy that just needed to break through. How many first-time major winners have we seen in the past 5 years? Golf's parity is becoming more and more prevalent because of the amazing talent. And again, with all of the advanced statistics, technology, workouts. I mean, we've all seen it. Jack Nicklaus wasn't in prime physical condition at 46 when he won the Masters. These guys are all... now, granted, I think Brooks Koepka is the type of guy that looks like he owns all the Fast and Furious DVDs and probably watches 1 a week.
Him and Hideki Matsuyama.
Oh, my gosh.
Who had a phenomenal round as well.
Yeah.
I will say this, though. Hideki Matsuyama is everything that is wrong with golf. He is so unbelievably slow. The first tee, when they showed him on Sunday, it took almost a minute and a half from the time he is announced before he hit the ball. It's making just the typical fan think, well, I'm supposed to go out and take this amount of time too. It is brutal to watch. Plus, I'm sorry, Fox, but your coverage is absolutely terrible.
Right.
I never can know who's anybody other than the top 5 on the leaderboard because that's all you show in the bottom right corner. Just give me something. And Joe Buck, for all that I love that he does with football with Troy and baseball,
He's great at baseball.
He's amazing.
He's fantastic.
The golf thing, I watched on mute. I watched on mute and listened to podcasts from the ticket.
Well, I know that Jimmy knows golf clubs, and I know that Samir knows clubs of a different sort. And so, Samir, while you may not be the expert that Jimmy is on golf, give me your take on it.
My take is I didn't watch it. And here's why. And
must have been a cricket test match on or something.
It's not only that, but what you hit on, I think, is a lot of millennials' issues with golf. Golf is a wonderful sport. It is a beautiful sport. But why I'm not into it is, again, it's the Hideki Matsuyama effect. I'm watching these guys just mentally look at a patch of green grass for like 3 minutes straight, deciding when are they going to hit the ball and with what club. I just can't stand it. I want, when I watch it, I want to blow my brains out. And then,
There's not much of them left.
well, hey.
Or was there any to begin with?
You know what my biggest takeaway from the U.S. Open was? Ricky Fowler is dating Allison Stokey. That was my biggest takeaway.
Pole vaulter?
Yes, yeah. By the way, that's confirmed.
Folks, if you haven't looked up Allison Stokey, you need to do this. Just type in Allison pole vault.
And last name spelled Stokkke.
This is what we're getting at. Yes.
This is Samir. This is Samir, people.
But and I appreciate the sport, and what I love about the sport is the mental anguish that it causes. Right? You got millions on the line. It's the last putt. It's a 6-foot putt, but can you sink it with all that pressure? I love the thought. But what I can't stand is just how much time it takes. It takes forever. And part of it is also, I can kind of see that in baseball as well. These pictures take a long time. And I think, I don't want to take away from the purity of the game. I love baseball. I appreciate golf. But look, if you want these sports to last and develop that appreciation to the future generation, you got to speed them up.
Yeah. He's not wrong.
You got to speed them up.
Well, I think that we all watch for different reasons. Because I watch golf because I like to watch the train wreck.
Oh, I'm with you.
I love to watch the train wreck. I love to watch them. You can start to see the sweat pour. They start to set with their putter, and then they reset, and then they reset, and they reset. And you can just feel the pressure on their shoulders. And you kind of know certain players are going to crack. I love watching Sergio crack prior to this year. I've Mickelson's cracked. You've seen great golfers just completely crack under the pressure. I mean, it's great television.
He's not wrong. And for the Open, it's a 7-hour soap opera.
Right.
It really is.
But you also like to watch him come through, because when Koepka came through, I was looking like, oh, wow, he did it. But I'm waiting on him to fall. I'm just waiting. He's climbing that mountain, and you climb it for 3.5 days, and then you got the back 9 that comes around, and you just completely blow up. It's like you say, it's riveting television.
That is true. And though I don't watch golf, one of my fondest memories of golf is watching Lefty break through and win his first major. That was an awesome moment. I didn't appreciate. I was really young at the time, but the constant storyline at that time was he's never won a major. He's going to choke. He's never won a major. He's going to choke. And what did he do? He broke through.
It's Ricky right now, though.
My two favorite moments. I'm a Tiger Woods fan. I like Tiger when he was actually playing and when he was actually good. And I think golf is missing something, not having that top tier person.
Completely agree.
That's give them a good shot against the field. When you look at them, you say, "Give me them over the field." I think they're missing something with that. But my second favorite moment when it comes to watching golf is John Van de Velde blowing up on the 18th. I loved it. He's looking at the water and looking at the ball.
And his pants are rolled up.
And he's going to try it.
Like, you got a 4-stroke lead. What are you doing?
I mean, it's absolutely great television, man. It was great television.
It is.
So those are two very wide spectrums, but that's what got me into watching those tournaments on Sunday. Absolutely.
We need to move on. We got to get to the because we still got a lot to discuss.
How are we going? Oh, we got 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go quarterback. Oh, do you want to go? You guys want to go NBA draft?
I think we should. It's small.
Okay, let's go NBA draft. NBA draft. So what we have as far as the NBA draft: Mavericks picking 9th. Just had a trade. Boston swapped with Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Now Philly has the number 1 pick. As far as the draft goes, you guys have any sleeper picks? You got anything you want to see the Mavs do? Let's start with Samir this time.
Yep.
Well, like he was ready to rumble.
I want to start with saying that Boston trade, in my opinion, was a terrible trade for Boston. I hate that trade for Boston. And I know, but here's why I feel so strongly about it. I think the three of us can agree consensus number 1 pick is Markelle.
Yes.
Right? He's an otherworldly talent. Now, you drop down to 3. Realistically, they're either taking. It's probably going to be Josh Jackson. I don't want to be
Josh Jackson.
Or Jason Tatum, one of the two.
Yeah, I don't see them taking De'Aaron Fox, especially when they've already got 2 guards. But let's take a look at Boston's roster. You've got in the backcourt, you've got Avery Bradley and of course Isaiah Thomas. Now I love Isaiah Thomas, but he is 5'9". He is a defensive liability. by getting rid of the first pick and going to the third pick, what I think they should have done, I think they should have swapped Isaiah Thomas for Paul George.
Well, you don't know if that deal was on the table. So, but what I will say, though, is because I absolutely loved the pick. I thought it was great because if you've already identified who you want, and if they identified they want Josh Jackson.
He's going to be there at 3.
And he's going to be there at 3. And if I can pick up a number 1 next year for the same player that I wanted, because they didn't want to pair Markelle Fultz with a 5'9". I know he's 5'9", but they didn't want to pair him with Isaiah Thomas.
Josh Jackson is an athletic freak. I agree. But here's the thing. Where are you going to put him? You drafted Jaylen Brown the year before. You've got Al Horford. And on top of that, the one weakness in Josh Jackson's game, which in today's NBA I think is a huge flaw, he has a terrible jump shot.
Jump shot, right.
He cannot shoot.
He can't shoot right now, but we've seen people develop an adequate jump shot, which is possible. The great thing that he can do, though, is he can guard multiple positions.
Right.
And so when you're Boston and you're looking at it, we don't need as much firepower. What we need is defensive help, and you can plug him in because at the 4, we're typically rolling out, what's the guy that used to play for the Mavericks back in the day? We traded him for Rondo. What was his name?
Jay Crowder?
Yeah, you're rolling out Crowder, who doesn't have that much athleticism.
Right.
So we wanted to get more athletic in the 3 and the 4 spot. We wanted to get someone that we felt we could build around down low. It actually made sense, and I'm picking up a first-round pick next year, which could very well be another top 5 pick.
Right. Right.
And I think it was smart for Philly as well. I think it was a smart trade for Philly.
Samir, I love your idea of trading Isaiah for Paul George, but as Vince says, if that's not on there, and Paul George has pretty much made it clear, I want to go west.
And I could be giving him up for absolutely nothing.
Right.
But so, do you think? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut
go
you.
ahead.
But do you think Isaiah Thomas can take you to the ship, or do you think Paul George can take you to the ship?
I can, but what I'm saying is you don't know if that opportunity is there. And what I'm saying is Isaiah Thomas can be a part of a championship team, especially if he's, in my opinion, a 6-man coming off the bench in the Vinnie Johnson role.
Yeah.
And I think that if you keep him there and you get some defense, you get a guy that's defensive like Josh Jackson that can help protect inside for when people get around him, I think that you've improved your team. I'm not sure Markelle Fultz improves it because offensively, you're going to give up something because Isaiah Thomas is a pretty bad boy when it comes to the offensive side of the ball.
No doubt.
He's a top 20 offensive threat in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I don't know if Markelle Fultz is going to start off being that over the course of the next 2 years. I can tell you Isaiah Thomas is that right now. So what I want to do is I want to go ahead and get this defensive player who can assist me when it comes to Isaiah Thomas's defensive liabilities.
For me, the concern that I have is the NBA is littered with athletic threes that cannot shoot the ball. It's a defensive liability. Biggest problem, probably Andre Robertson, right, out of Oklahoma City. What did we see time and time again off the playoffs? He was their stud when it came to guarding James Harden. When they put him on James Harden, he made James Harden work. But the second it's the last couple minutes in the quarter, what do? Hacking Andre. He couldn't shoot he was great in the regular season with the 3-ball. For some reason, it just plummeted in the playoffs. He couldn't hit a thing.
But I think what people look at is the comparables. And a lot of his measurables and comparables equate out very, very well to San Antonio's second best player in the league. We always talk about him. Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
His measurables relate very well. What he shot in college from 2-point and 3-point range were very similar to Kawhi's numbers. And he reminds them of that kind of athletic freak and that kind of defensive player. And so that's why he's still rated as high as he is. And if you get a Kawhi Leonard, if he develops into that, because Kawhi did build his jump shot.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I agree.
And I think Brad Stevens is the type of guy that can do that. I mean, we all know everybody at Butler could shoot.
and I will tell you this here. Was Isaiah Thomas thought of like Isaiah Thomas is now before he played for Brad Stevens?
No. He wasn't. What have we talked about? Isaiah being as good as he's developed into, if they get Gordon Hayward,
that is a scary, scary team. But even then, let's say they do get Gordon Hayward. So now you've got Josh Jackson. Now you've got Gordon Hayward. Let's not forget you drafted Jaylen Brown last year. There is a huge clog at that 3 spot. And if you shuffle people around and let's say you start dabbling in the 4 or the 5, you still got Al Horford, who, by the way, you signed to a monster contract. I don't know why. Love the player. A little old to get that kind of a contract.
Yeah, I think he's a little old for that.
But I don't know. For me, it's just when you look at the roster, there's so much clog at that forward spot and extending into that center. I don't see
think
where
you got to
the minutes
stop
are going to come
thinking
from.
today's NBA in terms of position.
Yeah.
I think right now we have ball handlers, shooters, and post players. And hopefully guys that play defense that can guard 1 through 4, 1 through 5.
You know what it is? When we were growing up in high school, what did you have, especially in women's basketball? You had guards, wings, and posts.
Right.
That's all it was. And
Right.
you didn't have 1 and 2. You had 2 guards. You had 2 wings. You had a post. Or you had 1 wing and 2 posts. I mean, it was... So, let me ask you this, Samir. Just based on what we know now, though, does Boston get better by drafting Josh Jackson?
My answer is no, and here's why. So I agree with your argument that if he can develop a jump shot, there's a realistic shot he turns into the next Kawhi Leonard. But let's just say that he doesn't develop a jump shot. Let me give you one example of somebody who was seen as a huge prospect but never developed a jump shot, and he struggled. Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
Ricky Rubio is what I am worried that Josh Jackson is going to turn into.
The difference, though, is that you have to have a specific skill. Josh Jackson defensively already has a specific skill that he can rely on in the league. Rebounding, assists, like Lonzo Ball. If Lonzo Ball never developed a jump shot, he's still going to have this uncanny passing ability that's going to be worth something. Now, I believe he's going to have a great chance to be the next Jason Kidd myself.
I think he's the greatest passer since Jason Kidd in terms of college.
I just said that to someone else today. I will tell you this right here. And in terms of college, I'm going to go further than that. I'm going to tell you, when Alonzo Ball gets drafted, he's the best passer in the NBA. Period.
Really?
Yes.
Day one.
Day one.
Above Chris Paul.
Above Chris Paul. When he gets drafted, this guy has an uncanny ability of setting up teammates that we haven't seen since Jason Kidd. Mm-hmm. So the day he gets drafted, he is the best passer in the NBA from the point guard spot.
Which makes Magic incredibly happy.
Yes.
Especially since they just said, time to dump salary, boys. Bye, D'Angelo Russell.
And
who else? Mozgov.
Yeah.
They gave it to Mozgov, too.
With a monstrous contract. He had a monster.
No, I know,
he was
but...
getting $16 million. That was what you call a panic deal. The Lakers panicked. Everybody was getting free agent signings, and the Lakers felt like they needed to do something, so they went out and did Dang and Mozgov, and they gave them all this money. They gave these guys $16 million a year, and if he can get from up under those contracts, and the crazy thing about making those deals, and I know we're not even talking about Mavs yet, the craziest thing about making those deals, you made them signing bad free agents in years in which it wasn't a great free agent crop.
Right.
And then the very next year, you had this great free agent crop, and you had no money.
No money.
You just kind of shot yourself in the foot. It was the most ridiculous signings that I've ever seen. And you did it for Luol Deng, who is like 2 years older than me.
Right.
And I'm in my 40s.
Right.
Yeah.
But, okay. Jimmy, give me something about the draft. Who should the Mavs be looking at?
So I've got 3, that the Mavs, and I'm hoping, because I really think this might come about, before they even draft, question for both of you. If you could trade Barnes for Porzingis, do you do it?
Absolutely, no question.
That's not even
Okay,
close.
just making sure.
I'll give you Barnes, I'll give you Wesley Matthews, and I'll go ahead and throw in Curry.
Barnes is one of those players where 20 points a game is overhyped. I mean, he is... In my opinion, it's great that he's on the Mavs, and I'm a huge Mavs fan. One of the most inefficient players in the NBA.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Porzingis came out, if he came out this year, about what we know about him, he'd be the number 1 pick in the draft.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so the Mavs, I think, are looking at 3 things. If you've got Malik Monk, you got the French guy, I can't pronounce his last name.
What is it?
Is it
Netiquin?
Milliken?
Milliken?
We'll call him Frank.
Yeah, Frank.
Yeah. Most difficult name since
You got Malik Monk.
Billy.
Yeah, Skittish Billy. Malik Monk, the French guy, or Markkanen out of Arizona.
Oh, he's a stud.
Yeah,
He's a stud.
And I think that they look at Markkanen as a Dirk Nowitzki starter kit.
He will never be what Dirk is.
I totally agree.
He is not athletic. I know Dirk had some athletic limitations, but
sure.
Dirk is Allen Iverson compared to Mark.
Sure. No, I agree. I agree.
So you're not going to get Dirk. Now, the guy can play. He's a 3-point shooter out of this world.
Right.
And he's probably the best 3-point shooter in the draft.
Yes.
But his defensive liabilities.
Bad.
I don't think
Especially with Dirk on the floor for at least one more year.
You can't put them on the floor together.
We'll give up 130 a game.
You can't put them on the floor together.
So, in my opinion, I hope Malik Monk falls to us. I don't think he will, but that's who I'd like to see him take because, again, on the low end, he's still a better point guard than anything. Yogi Ferrell's not taking us anywhere.
No. He's not, but I'm not sure he's that much better than Curry. I think Curry is developing. I think there's an upward arc going on here.
I don't disagree.
And so now, but I say all that, and I say I got him. I got him with a hopeful pick of Dennis Smith Jr. I think
would love Dennis Smith Jr.
Yeah,
would love Dennis. I just don't see him falling past maybe 6.
The great thing about bad teams that are drafting in front of you, they typically pick bad.
Oh, I know.
That's why they're bad.
There's a reason Philly has had 25 first-round picks.
And they keep taking power forwards.
Yes. We're going to throw out 5 power forwards out there and just hope it works. Somebody close your eyes and we'll let you know if we win.
Well, since you brought that up, did the process work for Philly? I mean, everybody said trust the process.
It's too early to tell.
Because
I think it's already working. You asked me the other day, who is the team that you think may challenge Golden State? They've got a young core there.
Ben Simmons,
Joel Embiid, and
who's the other cat?
Well, supposedly probably going to be Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz.
Markelle Fultz.
Yeah.
No, and that's the
Pay
thing.
attention to the show, Jimmy. Goodness.
Here's the issue, though. We just talked about this a month ago with the Lakers having D'Angelo Russell, the guy they took in the second
Brandon
Ingram. And then you were going to pair potentially Lonzo Ball with them.
And bring in Paul
George.
Yeah.
I think that the NBA I think management is a little too quick to react on these but I agree. I think we have seen the development of the Philly issue, but this all to me, and I could go on for another hour about how ESPN is really the bad part of all of this because of what they did, providing all the money for these contracts that they have to spend in bad free agent years. But if Philly, with Ben Simmons, who we really don't know what he's going to be yet.
Yeah.
I mean, you just don't know.
But the idea
I still am bothered, though, by the fact that the Cat didn't even take you to the NCAA tournament.
Everyone, please understand, Jimmy blames ESPN for everything that's sports related. They're also the reason that Brenda threw her baby in the trash.
I think ESPN is part of the Illuminati. I'm just saying.
So he blames ESPN for everything. So you have to take that one with a grain of salt.
So,
but Mavs, give me
Mavs. I end up. It's hard for me to think because I think the best of the 3 that I truly think will be available is the French guy. I mean, his stock is skyrocketing right now. They're talking about how good his basketball smarts are and just how he's all over the floor all the time. I just keep having thoughts of Antoine Rigaudot.
And what was the other one that was supposed to be super fast, French as well?
Yes.
It was.
What year was this?
2010,
yeah.
2011.
Was it Batum?
Yeah.
Nick Batum?
No, not Nick Batum. Who
Not
was
Moegi, or Ager.
He was a point guard.
Mike Isolino.
No, not Mike. We'll come up with it, people. We'll come up with it. We're gonna.
But
again, it started with an R.
You sure it's not Antoine Rigaudot?
It might have been Rigaudot. Was it Rigaudot?
Rigaudot was the French guy.
Okay, well maybe it was Antoine Rigaudot.
Like I said, that's just what goes through my head. Donnie Nelson found Dirk Nowitzki.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are all grateful for that. But no one has drafted foreign, especially lanky white dudes, more than the Mavs. One, if you average them all out, okay, they're decent because of the Dirk factor. You take Dirk out of this and they have all failed. I just am getting bothered by not getting either the speedy basketball smart point guard that can be that quarterback of your team, or the dominating muscle guy, athletic muscle guy that can go in and block shots and rebound. Those are things, every time we think we get one of those, we end up with Oklahoma State, Dampier. And it's
well, see,
I'm sorry, Mississippi State, not Oklahoma State. It's just, that's my fear, is that we're going to continue going, we got to find the next Dirk. There isn't a next Dirk.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I'm scared of marketing. That's
Yes.
that's one of the reasons I'm scared of him.
Right. So that's why, for me, I truly do put my hope in Malik Monk or Dennis Smith Jr. because I think they give the best upside sooner.
Well, I'm also of the mindset that, remember, we could have had the Greek Freak and we traded back 4 places so that we can get Larkin a few years ago. People forget about that one.
Oh,
so
man.
sometimes it's okay to go a little French, a little Greek. Sometimes.
I know, but but seriously, look at our draft history. It's a lot of that. I see.
We don't trust Donnie Nelson as
Here's what
a
I don't
evaluator? Is
Well,
that what
no,
you're saying?
I'm not saying that. Does foreign talent translate to the NBA? If it did, I think we'd have more foreign players. I think it takes a special kind of player. And Tony Parker's French. If you can tell me this guy's Tony Parker, I'll be the first to vote. I'll sign me up. But I struggle to look at the first off, we haven't had a first-round pick since, 2010? Because we mortgaged everything for Rondo.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is uncharted territory for me for so long. I mean, guys, we're talking on the downward half of a decade here.
Yeah.
So that's been the struggle. Because we have been able, I think Donnie's done a wonderful job of consistently reloading versus rebuilding. We've been a perennial playoff team for 14 years.
You do realize we're in the lottery right now.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No.
But is that Donnie or is that Dirk? Let's not give credit to someone who doesn't deserve it, because I believe that that's Dirk.
Okay, but show me. Remember, Dirk wasn't even a Mavs draft pick. We traded for him on draft day for Robert Tractor Trailer. Rest in peace. But show me a good Mavs draft pick. Jason Kidd.
We'd have to go back that far. Let's see.
Jimmy Jackson ain't cutting it.
Adrian Dantley?
We didn't draft
Oh,
him.
sorry.
Traded.
Who did we trade? Mark Aguirre. Mark Aguirre.
We got to go back to Mark Aguirre.
Seriously.
He's not in the Hall of Fame, by the way.
I know. But Jason Kidd is your best draft pick of all time.
But,
I would agree,
okay,
but we got to go back pretty far. But
drafting is one thing, but we've pulled some good trades, right? We've put
Which
some
to
good
me-
trades on draft day.
And that's where I think we have seen benefit of Donnie Nelson. He finds the talent not only outside, but he also effectively makes these trades happen that has kept us safe for this year and 3 years ago when we didn't make the playoffs. Other than that, for the past since 01, we've been a playoff team.
and I put that up to Dirk.
Yeah, and again, but that's what you get from a top 15 player of all time.
Absolutely, he carries you to the playoffs
Right.
each and every year.
So-
which is what he did.
Will we get another one? Probably not.
Not in this draft.
Right.
We picked too late. I think that if the Met, I'm hoping we get Dennis Smith Jr. I would settle for. If we don't get him, then I believe we should swing for the fences. I think you go Harry Giles. I think you swing for the fences if you don't get him. I know he's had 2 ACLs, but if I know that I need a high quality player and it doesn't look like anyone's ever signing in Dallas for our cap money, no big name superstars, then I'm going to try to draft a superstar.
Yeah.
And so Harry Giles has superstar talent if he's regained any form of his explosiveness that he had coming out of high school. So
Right.
I'd probably go Harry.
But then you also have to lean on, is he Greg Oden?
And he could be.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's time. I think we're in a position now
I don't disagree.
where we can swing for the fences, because even if we miss, we'll be in the lottery next year,
Right.
and Dirk will be gone.
Right.
Then we're in a complete rebuilding mode.
Yeah.
If we happen to hit a home run, I'll take it.
No, and I'm glad you brought that up. I had not thought of that. I really hadn't considered that. But you know what? I don't have
You're
a problem
not
with
the
that.
only sports genius in the room. There's 2 of us.
The only concern that I have about that
And now
is
from Samir.
if you're going to pick this late in the first round, and relatively late, I should say, it's still a lottery pick, but it's a 9th pick. Why not go for a little bit of safety? Somebody that you know what you're going to get out of. I really like the Louisville kid. What's his name? Donovan Mitchell. Solid 3-point shooter. Great on defense. Guard help. That's exactly what the Mavs need. And I think that's a great role player that, may not. He's not going to revolutionize the roster, not by any means.
Is he better than Yogi or Curry?
He may not necessarily be better, but I think if you put the right pieces in place for a playoff or a potential championship team, he's a better fit.
See,
He's a better, because you can.
at 9, you have to be better than the person that I currently have starting.
Right.
At
I agree
9.
with that.
And so, if you may not be better now, but you have to eventually be better because the guys we're talking about, Yogi's young, Curry's young, so you have to be better than those guys because eventually the kind of back end season that Curry had, he's going to cost you some money to re-sign.
Right.
Yeah.
And so he's going to leave a gaping hole because I don't think that we're going to re-sign him. We may, but I don't think we are. But any final thoughts on it, either one of you guys?
Man, I'm just looking forward to it. Again, maybe the Mavs surprise us. They see something we haven't read about or seen in footage. You know, the great thing about the world today, I can go on YouTube and type any draft pick's name and watch 3 hours of footage.
Right.
Very true.
They're all athletic.
What I want to touch on as in any point, you asked the question earlier, does the process work? So I think Sam Hinkie's done a great job. I'm going to lean towards no. And here's my argument. They've had so many picks, but I'm looking at their roster right now. How are any of these guys going to get the playing time that they need? I mean, if we go down the list, you've got Robert Covington, who's a stud. You've got, of course, Jahlil Okafor, who had to basically trailed off because of the lack of playing time. You've got Embiid, who is a stud but injury prone. Ben Simmons, we have no idea what we're going to do. Dario Saric, who's probably in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. I mean, that's not even the end of it. You've got, let's see here, Nick Stauskas, who's still, we don't know what we're going to get with him, but he's still a young, decent talent.
But where's the point guard?
That's possibly it's going to be Ben Simmons, from what I hear.
Well, he's going to play the 3. He's going to
Yeah.
be LeBron type. But the point guard is being drafted this year.
Yeah.
If this, I think you got to give him an I. I can't give him an F. I think you got to give him an incomplete
Agreed.
to see how this plays out. And if Markelle Fultz comes in and he can make all of this work. Because sometimes if you get a good point guard, it can change the dynamic of the team because now people are getting the ball in the spots that they want to get the ball.
But is Markelle Fultz a pass-first point guard? What are we hearing all the time about him? He is score. He dropped, 24, 25 a game in Washington? He's not a pass-first point. He's not Lonzo Ball. If anything, I would argue Lonzo Ball makes more sense for the Sixers.
Don't be shocked if that's what happens.
I think that makes
Thank you.
way more sense.
Don't be shocked if that happens.
And when that does happen, this whole thing in L.A. completely explodes.
Yeah.
I think Magic will be comfortable with Fultz.
I don't disagree,
I think he'll
but
take that as an upgrade.
But everybody's got it as a foregone conclusion that Lonzo Ball is going to reinvigorate and be the next Magic Johnson.
Don't be surprised. I'm with you on that point, Samir. If Philadelphia takes him, I'm not going to be shocked because that may be what their team needs. They need a distributor.
I think that fits much better.
That is a scary backcourt. You've got a 6'6" point guard who's purely pass first. His whole objective is to make the team better. And then potentially, I mean, depending on where Simmons starts, I think they put Simmons at the 2. Now you got a 6'10" shooting guard who, again, he distributes the ball very well himself. And you're feeding it to Embiid down low. You got Dario Saric. You got Robert Covington. Possibly Jahlil Okafor.
You've got pieces.
The only concern, way too many mouths to feed.
Well, and that's where I think that the biggest struggle that they have is coaching. Imagine
You're not a fan of the coach?
Well, if he's struggling to find the minutes, it's because he's truly not willing to say, here's where you fit. That is the biggest part of a coach to me, is going, here's how you fit into my system.
Let's stop there. I like the point, though, Samir, but we got so many things to cover tonight. I definitely want to get on a couple more. What we usually try to tackle are a couple of socioeconomic issues as well on Sports Rehab. We've got about 10 minutes to get into this, so we're not going to do final thoughts. We're just going to talk a little bit about something that came down this week. Philando Castillo, the driver that was pulled over by Geronimo Yanez. Did you guys get a chance to watch the video?
Oh, I've seen it too many times.
Heartbreaking video. And he was non-combative. He was fully cooperational. And the police officer, in my view, panicked and shot into the car 7 times. And just recently, he was found not guilty on 2 counts of intentional discharge that endangers safety. I don't know how he's not guilty on that when you had a child in the car. And then a count of second-degree manslaughter. And I wanted to get your take on this one first, Jimmy.
Yeah.
And then I'll see what you have to say, Samir.
It's funny. I'm not a big watcher of The Daily Show. News programs just beat me down anyway, even if they are funny. But I happened to catch Trevor Noah's take on this, and I was actually already taking notes about this when I saw this, and he and I saw eye to eye on something. I'd actually already written down something. How does a black man not get shot in America today? I hate to say such a blanket statement.
Mm-hmm.
In this room, I'm a minority, but the reality is Vince, we've talked about it. You got kids. You have two sons and a daughter, right?
Right.
Yeah.
How you don't homeschool them and never let them out the house, I don't understand, because when you watch this video, what I'm bothered by is a jury of quote-unquote one's peers said, no,
That was justifiable.
That was justifiable. You hear the man say, "Officer, I am licensed to carry a weapon. My wallet is in my pocket." And the officer immediately goes, "Don't pull it out, don't pull it out." 7 shots.
And one of my concerns with the video, you went from 0 to 60. We'll even, from 40 seconds, it took 40 seconds from the time he said, "Hello, sir,"
Yes.
to 7 shots into the car, just backed up and just
With
unloaded.
no tone of anger, with no tone of aggression. It was, and did you hear why he got pulled over in the first place?
Tail light.
Broken taillight.
But did you hear the rationale to be able to pull them over?
Yeah. He looked like a suspect.
He looked like a suspect at a robbery because of a wide nose.
Samir,
By
give
the
me
way-
something on this.
Okay. How did you see his nose when you were pulling him over? That's the better question. Here's a couple of my takeaways. So, what broke my heart was the video, and you can hear the girl, right? The
Yes.
daughter, comforting the mother. Number one, 7 shots. One wasn't enough. Why 7? And the other concern is this. The common sense would tell you in that sort of scenario, why are they immediately pulling for the gun? Don't cops usually have tasers or other vehicles that they're going to hurt, but at least they keep somebody alive. And the argument may be protection or safety, but first of all, Mr. Castile wasn't doing anything wrong. He made no threat. He made no aggressive motion. That was the argument, but clearly that was not the case. What the bigger takeaway that I have here is that we've seen this for years, but it's just, I guess it's just not being addressed. This is a systematic problem. This is not a problem that's localized to LA. This is not a problem that's localized to Florida. We have seen these shootings take over all across the nation. And I believe just last week there was a mother that got shot in Seattle. A mother. All she had was a pair of scissors in her hands, and the cops confirmed that they were armed with tasers and that they had received the training that, hey, in that scenario, don't go for the gun first, go for the taser. There is a systematic issue here, but Jimmy and I actually had a conversation about this. I think part of the concern is also going to be the rhetoric, right? There's a lot of extreme rhetoric on both sides of the table, right? There's anger. You blame the cops and such, but then other people will argue that, hey, that's not the case. So it's tough for me, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on this.
Well, a couple of things. And I believe police officers have the hardest job in America.
No doubt.
Agreed.
I do not like to paint them all with a broad brush because there are some out here that do their job and they do it well.
Yeah.
But there's also a lot of them out there that are Mr. Yanez. And just take a couple of statements that he said when he talked to his supervisor at the scene. He said, "I don't know where the gun was. He didn't tell me where the gun was. He was staring straight ahead and I was getting effing nervous. I told him to get his hand off the gun." Those were his statements to his superior as they played those back on CNN. He was staring straight ahead and I was getting effing nervous. I do not know how you take a man's life in a situation in which you do not know what's going on as a police officer.
Yeah.
But we're starting to see it over and over again. Eric Garner, Michael Brown, Tamir Rice, Freddie Gray, Walter Scott, Sammy DuBose. We're seeing it, Jordan Edwards right here in Balk Springs. We're seeing it over and over again. And I try to dig into the why it's happening. And my take on the why it's happening is because of the negative imagery surrounding black men. And I go as far back as to talk about movies such as The Birth of a Nation came out like 1913, 1915. You guys, familiar with it? Birth of a Nation, where they just painted us in such a violent and evil way. And they painted the Ku Klux Klan to be the savior of the day.
Right.
And so when you have violent images like that of us, and we see it and we digest it in our brains, and I think that the general thought between most white police officers is that there's already a criminal element going on when it comes to the black man. I think that they already take their actions as violent, and they're waiting for something that may not even be there. And I think it's all mental. Don't get me wrong, because I think it's just, I don't think people naturally see color. I think kids don't. I think kids see color. Let me take that back. I think kids see color, but we teach them how to respond to color.
Yes, agreed. Yeah.
And so, in his situation, this man was absolutely panicked. Absolutely panicked, rolling up to the car, going up to it with his gun. As soon as the guy said gun, I mean, I don't know if he heard or seen anything else. He just started shooting.
Yeah.
It was entirely too fast. And it just draws back to, you guys remember, I'm going to call him by his real name, William Horton, presidential election.
Oh, yeah.
Willie Horton.
Yeah.
And how they publicize that. And we keep putting black men on television in these negative lights, and I think that police officers can't take those images out of their heads, and therefore when they pull someone over, they automatically are extremely aggressive, believing in their heads that they're trying to protect themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
So a lot of this is media created. Because if you ask me, did Mr. Yanez go up there with the intent to kill him? No, I don't believe so. Do I believe he had been trained properly? I have no earthly idea. Was he fearful of his life? He probably was.
Sure.
Did he have a reason to be fearful of his life? Not at all. And that's the reason that we have to start prosecuting, so that they can start observing the situation better and not just react without assessing. Because that's what we're having here.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not assessing situations. They think that it's okay, police officers think that it's okay to fire first upon black people and ask questions later.
Right.
Yeah.
That's not how policing is supposed to be done.
No.
And so, when I looked at the situation, I think that the only way you can really start to curb it is by prosecuting them and finding them guilty.
Yeah.
We have to do something about this, because that's why you're getting people marching in the streets, because we realize something has to change.
Right.
There is absolutely no way in the world you can look at that video and come to a not guilty conclusion, because the man panicked and shot. It was the definition of manslaughter.
Right.
Vince, let me ask you this. When you get pulled over, what goes through your head?
Let me tell you something, and this is, every black man in America feels this way.
Yeah.
And we coach our children, because when I have two sons, like I tell them, if you get pulled over, you put your hands out where they can see them. We have to coach our children through traffic stops. I don't know if any other race does that. Because we tell them, you make sure you keep your wallet here, your hands here, and you let them know what you're reaching for. We do that. We teach them. If you find yourself in a situation and police arrive, we coach our kids just like you may coach them on, other races may coach their children on how to deal with interviews, how to deal with people that you don't like that you work with. We're coaching our children how to deal with the police.
Right.
And that is crazy and absurd.
That's scary.
And even when I get pulled over, at my age, the first thing I do is put my hands at the 10 and the 2. 10 and 2 position, and you're supposed to look straight ahead. Try your best not to make eye contact, because you do not want that to be perceived in an aggressive tone, in an aggressive way. So we have to be extremely cautious. And I mean, it's crazy, and I do my best. My work-related bit, I will turn on, the most docile music that I can find. let me put on this Adele.
Yeah.
Just listen to some Barry Manilow. That's all I'm doing.
Barry Manilow here. Let's keep this, because realistically, you know that they overreact with our race.
Yeah.
We already know it. We've seen it, and we find that situation to be dangerous.
I have one last thing that I wanted to say. What else is going to be needed so the prosecutions can happen? What else is going to be needed after this to require body cam? To be able to see.
What good is the body cam? They're still walking away, Jimmy.
We have
We've
so
got
much footage, and this.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
Well, I'm just saying to be able to, have whether it's the helmets that follow your head like the GoPro or whatnot,
Right.
something that lets me see the exact point of view that you see. Because when that happens, I'm not saying this because I'm on the officer's side. I don't know what he saw. I don't know what he saw. I'm willing to bet that he saw nothing. And he reacted because we are all armchair quarterbacks. We could sit here and go, why doesn't he just back up? Put the gun, if you're scared, put the gun in, let him know. But I'm not saying that's the right thing. But what can you do that shooting first is not the immediate rational thought that comes to your head?
I'm telling you, it has a lot to do with the images that we see on a daily basis, the media, movies. If you look at cop shows, if you look at The Shield, if you look at The Wire,
Right.
we all like
Yeah.
The Wire. If you look at Cops, if you look at First 48, if you look at any of these shows, what you're going to see is black men in cuffs being portrayed as vicious criminals
Right.
all the time. So they already have these preconceived notions of who we are. And it doesn't matter, and see, this is why a lot of us feel this way. It doesn't matter what we've achieved in life to break that stereotype. We're still being seen the same
Right.
way.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's one of the issues that we have. And as a black man, I can tell you that even I consider myself halfway a professional. You guys know I'm only halfway there, but halfway a decent professional. But point blank, I don't believe when I get pulled over, that's what they see.
Right.
They see someone that's borderline about to commit a crime and definitely a threat to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And therefore, we jump to the conclusion. Your brain builds what are called mental models, and it pretty much tells you, it goes on autopilot in certain situations.
Yeah.
If you ever almost ran a light, the light turns red, and you slam on your brakes, you didn't think about slamming on your brakes, you just
Right.
automatically did it. So a lot of times, what happens is you see this black man, and you've had all these images bombarding your headspace for the last 18 years. He says gun, you hear black man, you hear gun, you hear something, and next thing you know, you're firing 7 shots
Right.
into a car.
Yeah.
No respect
Unreal.
for his life. And that's what we're dealing with. So if the change happens, number one, yes, we have to start prosecuting. Number two, we've got to do something about the negative imagery that's bombarding media today. We've got to do something about it because it makes absolutely no sense. And it's putting us in a situation where we are treated like a threat when we are not.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts on this,
Well,
you guys?
it's sad that I've said it 100 times, Vince. You know this. I don't know what you go through because I don't go through it. I hate to put it at the basal level. What do you teach your kids? Hey, kids, don't be black. I mean, you can't do that.
Yeah.
It's pretty difficult.
And no, I mean, but if that's the primary precursor to the gun being drawn, Samir, we don't have time to talk about it today, unfortunately, but I don't know what you go through. The racial biases that come, that affect you. You're Indian. How many people assume you're an Islamic extremist?
100.
All of them.
Yeah.
I mean,
I assume he's great at math.
I assume you're good at basketball.
you wouldn't be wrong.
Jimmy, we assume you're not good at basketball.
Jimmy likes to play golf.
Yeah, Jimmy likes to
Jimmy's an amazing accountant. No, but it breaks my heart again and again because at the end of the day, if you're living in the world that we're in, you're going to come across every kind of person on a daily basis. And if you're not, where are you living? But with that being said, it's not that I worry for that situation. It's the worry of, am I going to be a bystander or collateral damage?
You can be rolling in the car with Vince
Right.
one day, and they fire 7 shots and actually
and
hit me.
I'm putting in Vince. I'm like, you got to hear the new Barry Manilow, Vince. But with that being said, I know we got to go. But next show, we probably need to. We'll definitely get into our quarterback discussion. Top 20 or top quarterbacks under the age of 25.
Yes.
For those, do you want to discuss All Eyes on Me? Have you seen it yet?
Haven't seen it. Going to see it. Going to enjoy it. Hopefully, it's good.
Jada Pinkett Smith is not a fan.
I heard. I saw that on
She
TMZ.
is not a fan.
But next time we talk, we'll have the draft completed. Next time we talk, we'll see if the Rangers have made any improvement or if Jimmy's continuing to be right. But what other shows we got to look at here, Vince?
Okay, so on Tuesdays from 6 to 8, we have Vibe With Me. That's our teen show here on High Vibe. Then it's followed from 8 to 10 by The Black of the Berry. You guys are already familiar with them. They bring the hottest topics. Definitely good conversation each and every week. Wednesday, join us again, 8:30 to 10. We'll try our best to keep Samir from coming back. So
He knows the address now.
Jimmy, I told you not to give it to him. Thursdays from 9-11 at Live at Brick House Lounge. We have a man's point of view. We've got some pretty good topics. What's the topic on tomorrow? Religion versus spirituality.
Ooh.
Well, we know Samir's not going to that.
One-way ticket to hell.
And then on Sunday, join us from 4 to 6 for the Coach's Corner. That's with myself and one of the co-hosts, Coach Moore. We're not having it this Sunday, but we'll be returning next Sunday for that particular show. And then from Sunday, from 6 to 8, we have the Suave Radio Show. And you know, those guys always have a good time. Very enjoyable, very fun. They have food, fun, and great conversation each and every show. So we're looking forward to it. Please join us. We appreciate all of your support. This is High Vibe Media and Marketing Group. This is Sports Rehab, where all the sports addicts go. See you next week.
See you guys.